This is an Inbound Logistics AI presentation. As part of its long-standing commitment to logistics and supply chain education for both enterprises and students, Inbound Logistics is debuting its new IL Education series. This informative content, voiced by IL AI Audio, helps practitioners better understand key concepts and trending topics in supply chain management and sharpen their knowledge of all things logistics. In this episode, we're talking about cold storage.
Welcome in, everyone. We're diving into a topic today that's, it's mission critical for a lot of businesses out there.
It really is.
But honestly, it doesn't always get the attention it deserves. Cold storage. And we're not talking about, just keeping your drinks cold.
Right.
This is the industrial scale stuff, the kind of strategic considerations and technology that keeps...
that keeps the C-suite up at night.
Exactly. We've been going deep on this new industry report about best practices in cold storage.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's so much to unpack here. But one of the biggest takeaways for me is that it's not even just about keeping things cold anymore.
It's a whole ecosystem.
It really is.
It's not just temperature. You've got to think about humidity, air quality, even what happens if the power goes out.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of power outages, the report actually had this crazy case study.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Where a company managed to avoid millions in losses.
Millions.
Just because they had a really good backup power system during a huge storm.
Prepared.
It really is.
Yeah.
It just shows you how critical it is to think ahead, and not just about risk, but efficiency too.
For sure.
Like that whole section on location and how much of an impact that has.
Huge. And you know what? That's something a lot of businesses overlook, even now. You can have the best facility in the world.
State of the art, but if it's in the wrong spot.
Waste of time and money.
Right.
Literally. The report found that companies with cold storage close to their customers, like within 100 miles.
100 miles?
Yeah. They cut transportation costs by 15%.
Wow, 15%. That's massive, especially these days. Every penny counts.
It all adds up. And it's not just being near your customers. It's access to transportation hubs, highways, rail lines, airports, all of it.
So you're really talking about a strategic location, not just convenience.
Exactly. And this one food distributor they highlighted, they moved their facility closer to the airport, cut a whole day off their delivery times.
Seriously?
Yeah. That speed makes a huge difference in a fast-paced market.
I bet it does. Makes you really think about those real estate decisions in a whole new light, I'm curious, when you see numbers like that, does it ever make you wonder if companies are too focused on owning their own facilities instead of maybe partnering up?
That's a great question, and it's a tough one a lot of businesses are facing. There's definitely something to be said for the control you get from owning your own setup.
Sure, you can customize it exactly how you want it.
Exactly. But partnering with a specialist, especially if you're growing fast or your supply chain is getting more complex, it often just makes more sense.
It's like knowing your strengths, right? Knowing when to call in the experts.
And that seems to be a big trend in the report, actually, how much more specialized cold storage is becoming.
Instead of one size fits all.
Exactly. Take pharmaceutical cold storage, for example. You're talking about incredibly strict regulations.
And you need a provider who really understands all the ins and outs of that, right?
Absolutely. Because we're not just talking about temperature anymore. It's security, data logging, chain of custody. It's a whole other level.
It's a whole different ballgame. And it's not just pharmaceuticals, right? I mean, every industry's got its own unique needs when it comes to cold storage.
Exactly. Food manufacturers have to deal with different food safety rules.
Right, and someone handling fresh produce, they might need special ripening rooms or ways to control those gases that make fruit go bad.
Precisely. So it's not as simple as just finding the cheapest warehouse space. It's about finding a partner who gets your business.
Who gets what you're storing and what your goals are.
And can help you set up your supply chain for maximum efficiency, stay compliant with all the rules, and ultimately be more profitable.
And that's where things get really interesting. Because this report does not shy away from technology.
Oh, no, not at all.
I mean, we're talking automation, robotics, AI, the whole 9 yards. It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It really is something.
But before we go full Star Wars on this thing, let's break it down, What do these technologies actually mean for businesses, practically speaking?
Well, you're not wrong about the sci-fi comparisons.
It's wild.
But the thing is, it's not science fiction. It's happening right now.
It really is.
I mean, look at automation. Think about what it used to take to manage inventory in these huge cold storage facilities.
All manual, right.
Exactly. Tons of people,
Yeah.
tons of time, and honestly, a lot of room for error.
Yeah, you can't exactly afford errors when you're dealing with perishable goods.
Exactly. But now we're talking robotic palletizers that work 24/7.
No lunch breaks for those guys.
And those automated storage and retrieval systems, the ASRS,
What do those do again?
they find and grab a specific pallet out of storage.
Out of thousands.
Yeah, and crazy fast, too, and super accurate.
So it's like those car factory commercials, but with frozen pizzas instead.
Pretty much. And the cool thing is, it's not just about being faster and more efficient.
Right, it changes the whole labor game, doesn't it?
Totally. It's not about replacing jobs. It's about changing what those jobs look like.
So instead of backbreaking work, people can focus on more specialized skills?
Exactly. Let
Yeah.
the robots do the heavy lifting, literally.
While the people make sure everything's running smoothly and handle the things robots can't do.
Because let's be real, even with all the fancy tech, you still need people who understand how cold storage actually works.
You need that human element,
Yeah.
to deal with the unexpected stuff, the stuff that needs creative problem solving.
For sure. You need people who understand the regulations, the different products, the whole intricate dance of the supply chain.
Exactly, and that's where I think those advanced software systems come in, right?
100%. We're talking real-time inventory tracking,
You always know exactly what you have, where it is.
down to the individual item, and predictive analytics,
Yeah.
software that analyzes past data to predict future demand.
So you can stock up before you run out.
Exactly. And even AI that optimizes things like temperature settings, energy use.
AI's everywhere these days.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what it can't do.
Right. But the thing is, all that tech, it creates a ton of data.
Mountains of it, probably.
And that's where things like data visualization come in.
Make it look pretty.
Kind of. It's about making that data understandable.
Useful.
Exactly. Dashboards that show you everything at a glance.
So you don't have to dig through spreadsheets all day.
You see inventory, temperatures, potential bottlenecks all in one place.
It's like having X-ray vision for your whole cold storage operation.
You said it. And speaking of improvements, the report talks a lot about sustainability.
Which is more important than ever.
It's not just a buzzword anymore, it's essential.
For the planet and for the bottom line, right?
Absolutely. And the cool thing is there are so many options now for making cold storage more eco-friendly.
Like what?
Energy-efficient lighting and refrigeration are big ones. Some companies are even switching to refrigerants that don't harm the ozone layer.
Oh, interesting. Are those new?
Relatively, yeah. And then there's on-site renewable energy, like solar panels.
I read about this company that's using waste heat from their refrigeration to heat their offices.
No way.
Yeah. It's amazing what people are coming up with.
It really is. It shows that sustainability and cost savings can go hand in hand.
That being green can actually save you some greenbacks.
Exactly. And let's not forget about how it looks to consumers. People care about this stuff now.
Oh, for sure. If you can say you're running a sustainable business, that's a huge selling point.
Absolutely. It shows you're thinking about the future, not just the bottom line.
And that brings us to another super important aspect of cold storage: safety.
Right, of course. We talked about worker safety, but there's also food safety, product integrity.
Especially in industries like food and pharmaceuticals, those are make or break issues.
If the cold chain is broken, even for a little bit, it can be a disaster.
Spoiled food, ruined medicine.
Huge liability risks.
So how do you prevent that?
Well, these days, it's all about technology. Cold storage facilities have high-tech temperature monitoring systems.
Like sensors everywhere.
Everywhere, tracking the temperature of everything all the time.
From the moment it arrives at the facility to the moment it leaves.
Yep. And if the temperature goes even a little bit outside the required range,
Oh, red alert.
pretty much, the system sends an alert to someone who can fix it right away.
So you catch problems before they become major issues.
Exactly. It's about having that real-time visibility and control to protect your products and your business.
Makes sense. It's like having a safety net for your entire cold storage operation. It really is like a safety net, isn't it?
It is.
And that makes me think about the whole contingency plan aspect,
Oh, yeah, you can't talk about cold storage without talking about contingency planning.
Because what happens if, well, anything goes wrong?
Exactly.
Like we talked about the power outage example.
Right.
But it's more than just that, isn't it?
No, it's way more. Natural disasters.
Equipment failures.
Cyber attacks.
Do you think people are hacking into cold storage facilities now?
It's a thing. Anything connected to the internet is vulnerable these days. But the point is, you've got to have a plan for everything.
So you're not scrambling when something happens. You've already thought it through. And that, to me, is where having a really solid partner comes in, right? A cold storage provider that's already got all that figured out.
Absolutely. A good provider will have detailed protocols for every scenario you can imagine.
Plus backup systems, redundant infrastructure, the works.
They'll have relationships with transportation companies, other storage facilities.
But if their main location goes down, they can pivot.
Exactly. It's about having that network, that deep well of resources and knowledge to handle anything.
And that kind of resilience is worth its weight in gold these days, don't you think?
In this day and age, absolutely. And it's not even just about reacting to problems after they happen. It's about getting ahead of them.
And that's where technology comes in again, right?
You got it. Predictive analytics can analyze all that data we talked about, spot trends, and warn you about potential issues before they even happen.
So you can fix them before they become major headaches.
Exactly.
So it's like having a crystal ball for your supply chain.
In a way, yeah. And that ability to adapt, to be proactive, that's going to be critical as the industry keeps changing.
Because it doesn't sound like things are slowing down anytime soon.
Not at all. We're already seeing things like blockchain starting to make waves.
Blockchain, huh?
Yeah.
That's one we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
How does that even work with cold storage?
So imagine being able to track every single product from the moment it leaves the farm or the factory all the way to the customer.
There you go.
And I mean, track everything, the temperature, the humidity, every step of the journey.
And all that information is stored securely on the blockchain.
Exactly. So if there's ever a question about a product's history, you have an immutable record.
No more disputes about whether something was stored at the right temperature or not.
Exactly. Complete transparency and accountability.
Which is huge for pharmaceuticals, food, anything with strict regulations.
Huge. And it's not just about compliance, it's about optimization, reducing waste, even stopping counterfeit products.
Wow, it's like blockchain could revolutionize the whole industry.
It has the potential, that's for sure.
Well, it sounds like the future of cold storage is about a lot more than just, cold storage.
It's about data, it's about technology, it's about building a system that's resilient, transparent, and sustainable from start to finish.
Absolutely. So for anyone listening out there who's maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by all this,
A little bit.
just a tad, what's the one thing you want them to take away from all of this?
I'd say don't be afraid to embrace innovation. The industry is evolving fast, and the companies that are going to succeed are the ones that are willing to evolve with it.
It's about seeing these changes not as threats, but as opportunities.
Exactly.
Opportunities to optimize your business, get ahead of the competition, and help build a better future.
I like the way you think.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired
Me too.
to go out there and, revolutionize some cold storage operations.
I'm with you.
Until next time, everyone, stay cool.
Join the conversation on this topic by clicking the link in the show notes or visiting inboundlogistics.com.